Over the next 20 minutes, I'll talk about what we as Infosys are finding in AI space, where we see the technology heading and what the future could look like. And, I would love your inputs, questions as well as we go through this. So today, if you look at the overall journey that AI is taking, and I'll largely talk about what's happening in businesses or enterprises, because what's happening in consumer space in AI is very different. So a large portion of my focus will be on what's happening in large companies and businesses. So today, if you look at it, most of the work that today that's happening in enterprises is in an AI augmented business state. What do we mean by AI augmented business? This means that as humans, we are continuing to do the work that we are doing on a day-to-day basis, but we are using AI tools to do it with higher productivity, higher efficiency, and more speed. It could be when I'm coding, it could be when I'm creating an image, it could be when I'm responding to emails or responding to support. I'm using tools, but I'm still doing the task. And today, that's the state that we are in. And most of the companies that today we work with, they are moving towards this AI augmented state. But what I firmly believe is that this is a temporary state. This is a state where we will be here for some time, but we will eventually move to a human plus AI collaborative state where we will have humans along with AI workers or AI agents collaborating together. And what does this mean? This would mean that some of the tasks that are very straightforward will get eliminated. So we will start eliminating some of the tasks that today, we are using these AI tools for. And that's the future that we are preparing for. And that's where we believe a lot of value will come. Now, what is Infosys doing? So what Infosys is doing is we are taking the approach of eating our own dog food, which means everything that we are telling you here or telling our customers are things that we are implementing at Infosys first. Because what we realized is the only way you learn in AI is by experimenting. You can't learn by reading because the tech itself is evolving very fast. And that's why we are using Infosys as a test bed to try this out. And once we find that this is working, we are then taking it to our clients. Now, Infosys started this journey to become AI first about early 2022. And what does AI first mean for us? AI first means we are embedding AI in all the ways of working. We are embedding AI in everything that we do. We are embedding AI in the services we offer to our clients. And the idea is that we use it to give more value to our clients. So today at Infosys, in order to amplify the potential, when generative AI came in, there was a lot of talk on will it replace humans? Will there be an impact on humans? What will it mean? As a company, we were very clear from the beginning that we will use AI to amplify the potential of every human. And what it meant is we said we'll give an AI assistant to every role within the company. So today for our developers, we have about 20,000 of our developers that use code assistants. And they've generated about 8 million lines of code in the last few months. So every few weeks, we are generating about 1 million lines of code. To our sales colleague, we have given a sales assistant tool that can be used to find all the information that they want. To our operations team, we have given an AI assistant. If you look at Infosys, we are a knowledge company. End of the day, we have tech knowledge that we use to solve client problems. So we have created a personalized learning coach for everybody within the company. And they can use this learning coach to learn different topics faster. And we are also using Gen AI to accelerate the number of courses that we create. What used to take us few weeks, today we can do that within a week's time or so. So you will see that one, we are building a lot of these AI tools. Second is we are also going through a massive talent transformation. What it means is we are saying everybody within the company has to become AI aware. What it means is they should understand the basics of classical AI, machine learning, deep learning, generative AI. They should also know prompt engineering. They should know how to use these AI tools to do their work better. And this we call AI aware. We then have a next category we call as AI builders, where we'll have engineers who will use these models that are available on cloud, be it from Microsoft, from OpenAI, from NVIDIA, or from Google or AWS, and then they will build these Gen AI apps. The last is we have AI masters who will work on building these models grounds up. So it could be like a new model or a fine-tuned model. So that's the journey we are in. Now we are taking a very business-first approach to it. So for every industry, we've created a blueprint. What does AI mean to a bank? What does AI mean to a retail company? What does AI mean to a logistics company? And that's what we are using in order to drive this. Now let me talk about where as an industry we are today. So if you look at what has happened in the last 2 years, on the right side, you will see frontier models. These are the ones like GPT or Gemini or Cloud Sonnet, which are big models. And then on the other side, you have these small language models. These could be the ones like Meta's Llama, or it could be Phi, or it could be Gemma from Google. Now, over the last 2 years, the price per million tokens. So when you use AI models, you pass tokens, and the pricing is based on tokens. So the price per million token has come down by 100x, which means today the cost is a lot lesser than what it used to be 2 years back. Second is the context window. When you give data to these models, earlier when it was launched, GPT was launched, it was about 4,000 tokens to 8,000 tokens. Today, you can give data up to about 2 million tokens, which means you can give huge documents or huge amount of information to these models to process. Though the output window, which means the data that you get out of the models, is still limited to 4 to 8,000. But what it means is today you have the ability to process a lot more data. The next is the accuracy of these models have significantly increased over these 2 years. And now what we find is even these mid-sized models and small language models, they are performing with accuracy which is within 10% of some of these larger models. And the bigger open source models are also performing as good as some of the frontier models, which means today you have more choices. So the cost is coming down, the accuracy is going up, the context window is increasing, which means this is the perfect opportunity for businesses to look at scaling AI. Now, as the model layer becomes more and more mature, the focus is now shifting to agents, and we will see a lot more agents in the coming months. Now, while that's happening on technology space, when I look at most businesses, the adoption of AI in businesses is happening in waves. So today, if you look at the first wave, is most of the businesses today have already started using AI assistants for software engineering. They have started using it for knowledge purposes. And this today is in use in production. So in Nordics, for example, at Danske Bank, we worked with the bank to launch Danske Bank GPT that is used by 20,000 plus users. They are also using code assistants. So this is very mature. So today, if you're thinking, what can I use today? I would say look at using the enterprise AI assistants in software engineering, because that's proven, the value is proven, the tools are mature, and you can use it as of today. The next wave, which is today in pilot, and what I mean by pilot is they are in production, but they are being used by a limited set of users, anywhere between 100 to 1,000 users, are in the areas of business and IT operations. These are for customer service, these are in sales and marketing, these are in risk and compliance, and also in contact center. So these are the ones that today are in pilot and in the next few months will go into production. The last wave, which is where you re-engineer the business process. It could be like for a KYC process. It could be for credit fraud decision making. It could be for customer onboarding. It could be for loan origination. That is today going through design and MVPs using agentic technology. And that we believe will move into production in the next 12 to 18 months. Now, given all that is happening, what is Infosys doing is that we are actually creating a set of playbooks, platforms to help our clients accelerate enterprise AI. So first, every client I talk to, they say I have hundreds of use cases for AI, but I don't know which one will give me most business value. So what we have done is we have created a value realization model which helps identify the processes and use cases which will give you most value, be it on cost, experience or NPS scores, growth, and on risk and protection. And that's a model that we use to find where we should focus on from a value. Now, once you've identified the value, then if you are bringing the technology new into the organization for the first time, that's where we have an AI foundry. AI foundry helps bring new technology within the company, and the factory helps scale it across every single line of business within the company. Now, to do this, you need also a platform, because what we are finding is a lot of our clients who are using platforms are able to do these initiatives at a much faster pace and are able to scale to create hundreds of different apps. So one of our clients used an AI platform built by Infosys, and they got Gen AI apps out to the users within 2 to 3 months. So that's the speed at which you could do a lot of it. But most importantly, we have to do this in a responsible manner to be compliant to regulations, to be compliant with the organizational data. And that's where we are building a lot of these responsible AI guardrails that can be used to do. Now, what we've also done at Infosys is now we have created small language models, completely grounds up. And we did this in just about 2 months period. So in 2 months from an idea to a model we created, it's a model of about 2.45 billion param. And in a lot of benchmarks that we did, these models are comparable to a Llama, a Gemma, or a Phi, right? And the idea is, why did we build these models? We built these models because a lot of our clients were very afraid that a lot of the data that they send to the cloud models can lead to data leak, could leak to IP leak, and they wanted to run these in a private manner within their cloud tenant. And we said, okay, for that, we will build this enterprise SLM, which is trained on permissive data, which means we have used only the data that is permissible, open sourced, and you have the right foundation for data using which these models have been built. Now, you could use these models to create your own company-specific models or your own fine-tuned models with your own data, and you can run it locally within your own enterprise, right? And then our focus also is to see how do we make these models run on CPUs, on phones, which is where we are investing a lot in micro models, because we built this coding model for Java NT model. This today is about 750 MB and it can run on your laptop. You don't need to connect to cloud. You don't need any other big model. The same thing we are doing on phone to say if you have field users who want to use more models locally on their device, can they use it which is trained for specific functions or tasks that can be run locally and executed locally. And those are the next frontiers that we are looking at. Now, a lot of what I talked about is what is happening now, but what next? And the way we see the next is, today if you look at it, few years back, a lot of work we were doing was on robotic process automation and bots, which is what was happening with the digital workers, where we were doing a lot of digital automation, which is rule-based, which is deterministic. I think in the next few months, we'll move to the AI agents, which will even initially be in assisted mode, which means they will do the task, but they will provide these as inputs to us to then decide what to do. Then we will move to a bit more autonomous AI agents, which will take human feedback and work on it. But then eventually there will be some tasks that will always be done by humans. And it will be that way. So we don't think that the agents will replace humans, but Some of the monotonous tasks the agents will do, and they will work with humans in order to accomplish the tasks that are required. And that's the next set of activities or developments that we see will happen. Now, what this also means is, in every company tomorrow, we will have a network of agents, a network of AI agents. Some of them could be digital, some of them could be AI led, and we need to build the architecture that is required in order for us to design these agents. And today, if you look at the agent frameworks, they are very fragmented. You have about 15, 20 agentic frameworks, and most of them are evolving very fast. So we need to think of a way in which to make these agents work, put guardrails so that they do things that they are meant to do, and then also ensure that they are responsible by design. And that's what we as a company are investing in going forward. Now, if I take all of these and say, what does this mean for a company that is starting on an enterprise AI strategy? And for us, it means there are four big building blocks that are required to get the enterprise AI strategy right. The first is, it's all about data. End of the day, you need to have the right data, you need to have enriched data. So it's all about strengthening the foundation, be it your cloud and digital investments or applications and data. And what we find with AI is you will also have a lot of data gaps. You may not have captured the data at all. So how do you fix the data gaps by using models? So that becomes the critical part where you get your systems in place, you get your data in place, put the guardrails that are required. The next part is then about don't take a use case view. In our experience, what we have found is if you look at individual use cases, it is very difficult to justify the business value to the CEO or the board. It is a lot easier to take a value chain view. Look at the end-to-end process, supply chain or customer onboarding or loan origination or the hire to retire process, and then find areas where AI can help automate and eliminate, because that's where the value comes in. And that what is we think is required to do this. The third bit is we have realized that just giving AI tools to everybody in the company doesn't drive AI adoption. We also need to work on change management. We need to work on putting together a system where these tools are used very effectively, because as we use more, the effectiveness of AI will become much, much higher. So we need to train the talent. We need to train our employees. We need to train the users, and then create this operating model where we think AI first. And the fourth pillar, which is the most important in my view now in EU with the EU AI Act also in play, is how do we do all of this with responsible by design, which means we think about responsible AI from the beginning, right from the use case. Is the use case that I'm trying to do, is it a high risk category, medium risk, low risk? Am I violating anything? Do I need to notify the regulator? What data am I using? What are the guardrails required? Where is this data going? How do I secure the model? So there are about 12 different areas that you have to look for when you're building these AI solutions. And it's important to think about these upfront and then build it so that when you go to production, we are able to scale a lot of these at scale. And what we do now in the rest of the day is to look at each of these areas in detail. And hopefully now you found some of these things interesting. And if there are any questions you have, I'll be here for some more time so we can discuss offline. Thank you very much.